Welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right in to decode the mind behind a really specific, almost reflexive behavior. We're going to look closely at the hidden survival mechanisms driving our daily actions by mapping out the cognitive architecture of the compulsive apology. If you're the kind of learner who loves to understand the deep psychological mechanics behind why we do what we do, well, you're in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever caught yourself saying sorry to a door you just accidentally bumped into? Or think about this. Have you ever apologized just for asking a perfectly simple question in a meeting? Or caught yourself whispering sorry literally just for taking up space in a crowded room? It feels completely automatic, doesn't it? It happens before you even have time to process what's going on. You throw up this verbal shield before anything has actually gone wrong. Now, there is a massive contrast between how a society views this behavior and what is actually happening inside your brain. On the surface, people might just tell you, oh, you're just being polite, or maybe that you're a little too humble, or even that you suffer from being too nice. But the deep reason, the psychological reality we're unpacking today, is that this is driven by an intense internal pressure. That compulsive apology? It's actually a highly evolved verbal survival shield designed by your mind to protect you. To really get why you use the shield, we have to peel back the very first layer, the Fawn response. Psychology shows us that over-apologizing is deeply rooted right here. This is a trauma-informed survival mechanism. It's a subconscious strategy to basically fix a situation and guarantee your own safety before conflict even has a chance to kick off. And this often develops super early in life, usually when you're navigating unpredictable environments or relationships where keeping the peace was, well, your safest bet. At the absolute core of the Fawn response is this quiet, internalized belief: I'm not that important. If you grew up with your emotions being ignored, or if your needs were constantly compared to everyone else's, your brain absorbed a very specific lesson. You developed this sense of low deservingness. You subconsciously started to feel like your mere presence is an inconvenience to the people around you. So how do you adapt to feeling like a walking inconvenience? You become easier to keep. You learn to skillfully hide your own needs. You start using apologies to seek external validation and make absolutely sure you're still accepted by the group. Instead of naturally feeling like you have a rightful place in the room, your mind kind of tricks you into believing that you have to constantly earn your spot by being entirely unobtrusive. All right, moving on to layer 2, sensory processing and hypervigilance. Stepping away from childhood for a second, let's look at how your brain actively processes your environment right now. Because for a lot of you watching, you carry a remarkably heavy sensory load. Your brain is essentially a supercomputer constantly scanning the room. You naturally pick up on incredibly subtle things: a microscopic shift in someone's tone of voice, those fleeting microexpressions that glide right past most people, or that heavy, unspoken tension just lingering in the air. Because you are taking in so much intricate detail, your brain is stuck on high alert, anxiously asking, okay, what does this mean next? Now here's the crucial point. What happens when you process all that tension? Emotional contagion. You don't just notice the tension. Actually, scratch that, you physically absorb it. You take on the potential discomfort of the people around you before anything has even occurred. I really want to reassure you right now, when you apologize in these moments, you're not doing it because you made a mistake. You're apologizing as a lightning-fast reflex to fix the discomfort you literally just absorbed from the room. Which brings us to layer 3, the peacemaker's heavy burden. Since you're soaking up the tension of the room, you inevitably start to feel solely responsible for maintaining its social stability. To the mind of the over-apologizer, unresolved tension isn't just, an awkward silence. It is an active, threatening issue that causes immense biological stress. You are deeply uncomfortable with social chaos. So what do? You rush in with an apology. By saying, I'm sorry, you're actively trying to restore emotional stability. You're trying to turn that terrifying social chaos into something safe, predictable, and manageable. You're taking back control. There's a direct through line here. If you were the reliable one growing up, the kid who felt this intense pressure to fix every broken thing or mediate every single family argument, you've basically evolved into the peacemaker today. You've unintentionally tied your adult self-worth to being useful. You step in with an apology again and again because de-escalating conflict makes you feel needed, and feeling needed, that feels like safety. Let's peel back layer 4, high self-monitoring. This hyper-awareness we've been talking about, it isn't just a radar scanning the outside world. It turns intensely inward. You are acutely aware of your own words, your own facial expressions, and exactly how you're coming across at all times. And ironically, this creates an intense discomfort with being truly seen. Think about it. If you are seen clearly, or if you achieve sudden success, it strips away your excuses. It puts you in a highly vulnerable position where people can judge the real, unvarnished you. No hiding.
So what brilliant solution does your brain come up with? Social camouflage. This is fascinating. You subconsciously use apologies to dim the spotlight shining on you. If you get a compliment, you instantly apologize for your messy hair. If you present a game-changing idea, you apologize for taking up the meeting's time. Saying sorry helps you stay relatable. It acts as camouflage to ensure you don't stand out too much, and it protects you from the very real fear of outgrowing your environment and being left behind.
Finally, we hit layer 5, the cognitive habit loop. All of these sensory inputs, the childhood adaptations, the protective camouflage, they don't exist in a vacuum. They wire together to form a highly predictable neurological pattern. And the engine driving the whole shebang? Rumination. Because your brain operates in high definition, it holds on to every tiny little detail of an interaction. After the conversation ends, the exhausting aftermath begins. Your mind spends hours replaying the tape. You question if you sounded too loud, if your joke fell flat, or if you were just a burden. This intense rumination practically guarantees that you are going to over-apologize the very next time you see that person. Let's map out the internal logic of this loop step by step so you can really see it. Step 1, your hypervigilance picks up on subtle tension in the room. Step 2, through emotional contagion, you internalize that discomfort as your own. Step 3, you deploy your verbal shield. You apologize to restore emotional stability and camouflage yourself. And then, step 4, you walk away and ruminate on the entire interaction, fueling the exact anxiety that restarts the cycle right back at step 1. Look, if you recognize yourself in that loop, I want this next thought to really, truly sink in. Your brain isn't broken. It is protecting you. You aren't just weak or too nice. Your mind designed a brilliant, albeit totally exhausting, system to protect your energy, de-escalate conflict, and keep you securely connected to your group in a world that, frankly, once felt incredibly unpredictable. Understanding this cycle isn't about blaming yourself at all. It's about empowering yourself with self-awareness. Once you decode this internal logic, you can actually catch the reflex before it even leaves your mouth. You can learn to sit comfortably with the silence rather than rushing to fill it with a reflexive sorry. You can finally internalize the ultimate truth here. You do not have to apologize for existing.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If the compulsive apology is just a social shield, blocking you from fully inhabiting your space, what happens when you finally put it down? What will you do with the silence when you drop the shield? Think about that as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the fascinating architecture of your own mind.